Alrighty, welcome back. It has been far too long since we've been building. A couple of months here, a lot has gone on in these past couple of months. And by the way, hopefully the swamp cooler is not too noisy, but we are officially into summertime in Phoenix, which is hot as heck. So that swamp cooler is staying on. But yeah, anyways, a lot of stuff has gone on these past couple of months. Sorry for the lack of videos. Have not been touching the build at all up until today. So couldn't even dabble into it. We were really busy. Knocked out our guest bathroom, did a full remodel on our kitchen. So that's officially done. Those of you who follow on Instagram probably saw, but it was a pretty involved project, but officially done. No more home projects. Also sold our last house this past couple of months here. So anyways, lots of moving pieces, officially done. Back to building. So today we're gonna be jumping right on into the wings. So the first section of wings, section 13, involves getting these spars here ready. So I'll move this camera around as needed. It's not really the most entertaining portion from what I can tell. Anyways, after this first part here, first part will be pretty quick, adding these spar extensions on. But after that, it's gonna be a lot of countersinking and prep work to get these ready. I do plan on, for those of you who are wondering, I do plan on trying to do these both at the exact same time. I find that a lot of the time that I spend on these builds is trying to interpret plans, and once I get it figured out, it moves pretty quickly. So I'm sure other people are like that out there, but I do plan on trying to do things left wing, right wing, do them at the exact same time. So we'll see how that goes. I'll keep you looped in the future if things change. But anyways, I'm gonna shut up now. We have a lot to do. Not much time remaining. I have the fuselage on order, and it's actually been quicker than I originally anticipated. I fully planned on the fuselage being here next year, and got the email from Vans that my train is coming this coming September. So I gotta get moving on these wings. I probably won't finish before the fuselage gets here, but need to shut up, need to get to building. So with that in mind, let's get to it. Cool, so that's great to know. I'm gonna go ahead and do this one just to be extra certain, but your kit may be different, but my kit here being final sized, I actually don't end up having to match drill all this. So this one here, I'm good to take off, deburr the edges, deburr the holes, prime it, and actually rivet it all together. So nothing too exciting going on. So far, I knocked out one spar, getting J-Stiffeners laid out, match drilled and whatnot. And it's kind of a confusing section. So I wanted to really quickly explain what things look like. You'll see here, I do have these J-Stiffeners. I went ahead and did it for the right spar first, and now I'll knock out the left one on camera here. But these J-Stiffeners, they get match drilled. You can kind of see the holes along there. They get match drilled to the side of the spars, and I'm gonna hopefully make sense of the instructions here because they're a little bit confusing, or at least it's one of those areas where I feel like you spend a lot of time just trying to figure out why you're doing something, or at least I do, because I can't just do it without knowing why. So anyways, jumping into things here, 13-2, step number 7 is placing these J-Stiffeners that I've cut down. So it has you cut a long and a short J-Stiffener, so 2 of them per spar, so top, bottom, long and short. Anyways, it has you match drill them to the sides of the spar here. So not this bottom one, but the top line there, has you match drill it, but then it calls out certain sections where you are not to match drill. Seems super confusing, but the reason why, getting there, now that I'm done chit-chatting, the reason why is further ahead. So you'll see here, actually real quick first, it's saying not to match drill these 3 sections. And looking at that spar, these 3 sections are set up for nut plates. So there's a line of nut plates there, there's a line of nut plates there, and there. In the drawing, it has you, it kind of puts lines around, gosh, hopefully you can see this on camera, it's kind of hard to get an idea of where they want you to go. I went ahead and jumped to the conclusion of going nut plates plus 2 rivets. So nut plates plus 2 rivets on each end here. So nut plate there, plus 1, 2, so each end. That's the way I have this set. And anyways, getting to the Y portion, I keep saying the Y. Getting to the Y is later on, these actually won't be riveted to the spar there. Later on in section 16, when it comes to the top skins. Top skins are actually what's going to use those pieces. So those pieces are, let's see here, in the drawing. These are those the J channels, the W1028A and B, the short and long. Those are actually used later on, and they're not actually along the spar portion. They're set in to the skin, and hopefully you can see on camera here. But a good portion where it's easy to kind of make sense of things here. Good example, when you're match drilling it to this part of the spar, you'll see you end up with 2 really, really close together rivets. Sure enough, you go further back here, you're gonna have 2 really close together rivets, and then sure enough on the skin, right up here, you're gonna end up having 2 really close together rivets. So anyways, long story short, those J channels are being used kind of in line with the spar. They're keeping that same hole pattern, and the reason why they don't have you do those nut plates is because, of course, the skin is not held down with nut plates. So later on in section 16, somewhere in here, the very beginning step number 2, actually has you final drill number 40, all holes common to the top wing skins and spars and J-stiffeners. So you'll complete these sections that have nut plates in the spars. You ignore these for now. Do not match drill those into your J channel. And then later on, you'll fill in the blank and match drill the skin to those J channel skin stiffeners. So anyways, hopefully all this makes sense. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what the heck was going on here. That's what's happening. That's the why. And again, these top ones here are for the fuel tank, but you will see I will knock out this section here, and then one more down there for the access panels. Again, those ones are just flush to the top, just to accept the rivet itself, because those are getting nut plates, and then the access panel goes over the top of that. So knock out these real quick, and then we'll move on to the next countersink cutter to do the ones to receive dimples. Here's the final product here. I'm going to move on to the next step, which involves nut plates. So getting the nut plates done for the fuel tanks. Planning ahead here, did do one test fit one. So you'll see here I already have one nut plate riveted on, and then also countersunk. So I wanted to get one done just to make sure that I knew exactly what I was doing. But it honestly goes together really smoothly. So pretty self-explanatory, riveted on, nut plate there. And then just followed the plans that Vans mentions, where using a number 30 countersink cutter and get it deep enough to accept the dimple of a number 19 hole with I think a number 8 dimple. But anyways, replicating what's going to be on the fuel tank there. Quick check-in, a little bit of a change in plans. I was not originally going to prime all the countersink portions, but I had the time. I went ahead and did the method of self-etching primer, just in a little cup and then a little Q-tip, and literally just like dab each individual one. So it's not the prettiest, but it'll work. I'm not sure if it helped or not to do it, or if I could have veered from plans and just sprayed the entire top off, which was actually another thing that I thought of doing, which you probably saw on camera. At one point I had tape all the way across them, and I was gonna throw a full coat on. Anyways, changed my mind a few times, but figured I have the time, why not? If it helps, great. If it does nothing in the end, great. And like I said, it ain't the prettiest, but it's now got me to where I can move on to the next step and not worry about it. So on to the next step. I think we'll be countersinking a few portions and then doing tie down blocks as well. Having some focusing issues there, but anyways, I would 10 out of 10 recommend that. So taking the that top spring-loaded portion off of your flush rivet set, we'll see there. Hopefully, I got that focusing. They all came out looking perfect. So moving on to the next step, which is tie downs, I believe. Alrighty, quick check-in. Nothing too exciting, but I'm up to the step of fabricating the tie down brackets. So step number 6 on page 13-4. I did actually go ahead and already get this cut down to size, so cut it down to 7 1/8. Put the hole where it calls it out right there, and now I'm getting to the portion for tapping. I did go ahead and purchase a new set here. I had previously on the empennage gotten away with on the tail tie down using a Harbor Freight tap and die set. It was pretty much garbage, and then one of the last Project Farm videos that I watched, he had also seemed to, like, he came to the conclusion that it was garbage. But I know Irwin is a decent one for the price. So I went to Ace, picked up the correct tap here, so 3/8 tap, and a nice handle. The one that came with the Harbor Freight kit was, again, garbage. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these tapped out. So up to the point of putting nut plates on here. So this is already all match drilled to the spar. But next step involves taking these two holes and these two holes and getting nut plates placed on them. So you'll see here I scratched it pretty good here. I originally tried taking like a standard nut plate, getting it behind there and then running a screw through it. But if you recall, these nut plates, they're pinched at the end. So it causes the end to be deformed a little bit, which helps to hold that screw in there, which is great and all, but when you're trying to match drill it, it's a pain. And now I have to go back after, and it's not actually that bad, it's just the very, very surface. I'll clean that up with Scotch-Brite and it'll be fine. But what I did is actually I took a nut plate and ran a tap through it, a 1032 tap, and that makes it so that way it now receives these bolts here with no pressure at all, which is really nice. I have to make sure not to use this now on any part, because now I've defeated the whole purpose of that interference fit where it really, really holds on to it. But I'll probably end up just painting this after the fact, painting like bright orange or something, that way I know not to use it for any actual components on the plane. But anyways, what I'm getting at is it makes it super easy here. So you'll see here, I'll take that same one that's all scratched up, take that one there, but it makes it so that way you can make sure that you are fully centered on here. So anyways, I can run this in here, get that bolt all the way engaged in there, centered in that hole, and now I can go ahead and kind of just clamp down with fingers here and run a drill right through it, and then put a cleco in it, and then I'll do the other side, and I can easily quickly remove it, move it on to the next one. So anyways, quick little trick tip there. So I'll go ahead and knock this out, and we'll get moving forward. section 13 is a wrap. Spars for section 13 are complete. There was a lot of repetitive tasks along the way here. Hopefully I got some good shots for you. Apologize, you're gonna hear me say this a lot this summer. Apologize for the wind noise if there is any. It is officially summer, but also monsoon season here. Clouds rolled in. I'm only getting a 6-degree split in this garage right now. So it's 105 and humid outside and 99 inside. The air coming from it is, of course, like upper 80s, lower 90s, or well, previously. Anyways, air coming from the swamp cooler is cooler, but man, it's still hot. But anyways, spars went together really nicely. Just wrapped up the very last step of just finalizing, getting the final rivets put on these tie-down brackets here. Other than that though, honestly, this section was pretty straightforward as long as I knew what I was doing. I do understand now when people mention about the plans going from the empennage, progressing from that into the wings. This section here had very vague instructions. I know that I did make some mistakes. I think the big mistake that I realized I made probably about an hour or so ago, cruising through the Slack thread, someone started mentioning the J-channel or J-stiffener oopsie with the spars. And I'm pretty sure what I did here is I cut the wrong J-stiffener material when it came to the shorter pieces. Just skim reading, and I have not made sure that I'm 100% correct here, so do your own research when you're doing your wings. But I would say if you're watching this video and have not started your wings yet, do not cut anything until you research J-stiffener oopsie or J-stiffener wings, which ones to cut. My general understanding is I was supposed to use the longer piece of material to cut the 2 short pieces. It's not mentioned anywhere in the instructions, but more of a previous builders passing down their knowledge to you kind of a thing that I totally missed. So it sounds like I'll be ordering J-stiffeners for the tanks and I think leading edges. So that's kind of an oopsie there. Nothing major, it's nothing that affects the spars themselves. It just means that I'm out probably $30 or so plus shipping, I'm guessing. But other than that, everything was pretty straightforward. I mentioned previously all these ugly spot prime things here. That's just self-etch primer. Not sure if it truly helps or not. If I was doing this again, not sure if I'd do it. It was one of those things where I started priming. I was like, oh, let's just give it a shot. And I just started with the access panel, the deeper dimples here, or deeper countersinks that accept dimple skin, as well as the fuel tank area. And I'm like, you know what? Let's do a couple more of the skin ones to see how that works. And then next thing you know, I was doing the entire spar. I'm kind of rambling here, but quick lessons learned, because I know this video has probably gotten really, really long here. But lessons learned so far, J-stiffeners. I'm fairly certain I made that mistake here. I'm going to research it after the fact here, but that will be most likely a lesson learned. To make sure that you cut the right ones, or look online first and don't necessarily just look at the plans. Use all your resources before touching material. Other than that, it was very, very nice to have a good set of taps, or a good tap for the tie-down bracket here. It was a night and day difference experience using the Irwin one with the Irwin handle versus the Harbor Freight kit. Remember the Harbor Freight kit, just the handle itself wouldn't secure itself onto the tap real nicely. The tap was super, super grimy. You'll see that I tapped this like I was tapping steel, because my only experience so far has been using really crappy tap sets. So I went really slow with it. I went way too slow that I probably needed to go with aluminum. But they work perfectly fine. I picked up a stainless steel eye bolt here just to kind of simulate what it'll be like with I'm not going to use this, of course, but I think it's like $5 or so at Ace as well. But anyways, it's kind of satisfying to have a threaded piece of material, real smooth, really, really nice tight fit. So anyways, that's a good lesson learned there. Other than that, really no other lessons learned. I would say though, if you're getting ready to start your spar, go ahead and do what I did and go on eBay and find someone who has a bulk set of countersink cutters for sale. This one that I purchased has come in handy a lot. So I have several countersink cutters that came, and a lot of them had issues, or at least I think I got one broken and then 2 that are weird. Anyways, purchased these in bulk, because I don't know how much it was, maybe 50 bucks or so for 7. But a couple of them are finicky to use. 2 of them have reverse threads, which is super strange. But for these one-off things where you need to have, or you're going to be using multiple different countersinks at a time, anyways, it's nice having different sets, for whether it's for flush, for dimple, for accepting different size dimples. Anyways, that's super handy. I can imagine it'd be very, very annoying going through these spars here, having only one countersink cutter. You'll probably notice on video, a couple of these cutters, the edge is taken off of them. I did not find that affected it in any way. As long as you're square to it and you're not letting it roll over on that side that's missing, they work perfectly fine. I don't have an issue with it. Honestly, that's really everything. I did not find any real major issues adding the extensions, doing the tie-down brackets here. It was really honestly just a lot of interpreting plans and trying to figure out what the heck you're doing. So anyways, that's really everything. If anyone else out there has gotten to that J-channel stiffener thing and has a workaround for what I likely just did, please let me know. Or if anyone else has any tricks and tips, please comment down below, let others know. But anyways, I'm going to end the video here. I know I forgot to mention earlier on in the very beginning of the video, I was going on rambling about all the stuff that was keeping me busy. The other thing that I wanted to mention that I also was able to do was I passed my private pilot check ride a week and a half ago, last week. So that was another big thing that's relevant to the channel here. So I passed the private pilot check ride, which is awesome. And there's my wife right there. We need to go flying. Anyways, passed the private pilot check ride, so that was awesome. So we were definitely staying very busy up until now. Anyways, it's gonna be game time here. We have to move pretty dang quickly. I don't think I'm gonna finish before the fuselage gets here. Yeah, anyways, that's everything here. Next video will involve section 14, which is moving on to wing rims. So that'll be exciting to get through. Anyways, I've been talking way too much here. It's time to eat, time to go eat dinner. But made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Please, if you have feedback, comment down below. Hit that like button if you like it, and we'll see you in the next video. Adios.